there's an aspect where Carmi is trying to solve a problem that maybe exists between the two of them away from her.
Yes.
And then comes back with, here's what you wanted.
Yeah, that was the perfect line. Of like, that's what I see in the couples work all the time. Of like, I am doing, these are all the things I've done. And I did it because that's what you wanted. And
yeah,
it just
you
goes
asked
on
me
and
to do
on.
them, or this is what you've been asking for, and I have given you it.
And you're still complaining. What else can I do? I can't do enough. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So in this series, we're examining the attachment themes strewn throughout the FX Hulu show, The Bear. We will be discussing in detail each episode as the story unfolds, so that you can watch or rewatch before you listen and then follow along with our discussion. We have seen all the episodes, but we won't discuss any content beyond the episodes we're discussing. So if you haven't seen the show, press pause now, go watch, and hop back on to the podcast.
Here we go again.
We are together again.
Don't know that one.
Oh, I don't know the rest of it. I
don't think you know it either.
I just know that line. I want to say it's a Muppet song, but it's probably not.
Oh, no, it sounded like it. Now that you say that, it sounds like it.
But we're back again to bring attachment to the people.
Attachment for the people. Everyone. Anyways, yeah.
We all got it. And we all need it.
Whether it's secure or not. We got it.
That's right.
We got it. But we're going to continue on with The Bear. So season 2, episode 8.
Is it 8?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was 9, but I could be wrong.
We still got 2 more to go.
Oh, okay.
9 and 10. Yep.
So this one is Bolognese.
Bolognese. Now let me ask you, do you have a good Bolognese recipe?
I think Bolognese is one of those really adaptable recipes. So I sort of adapt it to what I have or what I feel in the mood for. But I tend to use Bon Appetits.
Oh. If people weren't watching, they didn't see my condescension. Yeah.
Yeah.
My recipe is actually from Italy. While we were there.
Well, from when you took a cooking class on your recent trip to Italy. That's so amazing. Yeah. I love that. I love that for you.
But the fact is that they're pretty similar to, because it's a simple recipe. It just takes time.
Correct.
Not a ton of ingredients.
Which some might say 5 ingredients, and it does take time, like attachment repair.
Look what you just did.
Look what I just did. But you're right. Bolognese takes time. That's part of the key aspect, is just let it
cook. It's a Sunday dish.
Yeah.
That usually would start early in the morning, and
I don't know about that. It doesn't have to be that long, but geez.
That's how the entire story was told to me.
Well, I'll be making it for Thursday evening dinner.
Oh,
actually, I won't be making it. I will.
You'll be unfreezing it, or what?
No, I will be supervising it from a distance. Okay. But that is what we're literally having tomorrow night.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, with the family coming in town.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Treat people.
Treat yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, this one is Bolognese, and I don't really know any other reason besides you see them cook it at the end, or throughout the episode, actually. All the chopping, those are the ingredients that they did.
Yep, when they're working through the produce, when Tina's teaching the new recruits. Yep, they're chopping celery, carrot, and onion. Yeah, the Italian
Trinity.
Yep.
So, but other way we could maybe say is these relationships took time to marinate. That's a stretch, though.
Well, they're not really marinating, but they are.
Can I strike that from the record? I don't like it. Can we take it out?
Another way of saying that is that these characters have required some time to learn, to heal, to embody, to exercise, to practice what it's like to be secure and be securing in relationships. And one way we talked about maybe renaming this episode is an episode of Bearing Good Fruit, where it seems their efforts, their arcs of growth and change and seem to bear good fruit in this particular episode.
Yeah. Speaking of bearing good fruit, we didn't, but the fruit is still good. But we did a lot of labor intensity and it didn't pay off for what it's supposed to be. That'd be our drink that we're having right now.
Oh, so true.
So this is a smoked old fashioned that isn't so smoky. Someone forgot their torch, their brulee torch. And we tried with many, many matches. But ended up just doing a citrus sparkle. Let's call it that.
Oh, I was going to say, that's a real
sparkle.
name. I love the citrus sparkle. It goes
I'm
together.
going to coin that.
All right. Yeah. Which is done how?
So you light a match or you have a flame and then you express an orange peel and let the oils catch flame over the drink.
Yeah.
And so it creates an aromatic,
sparkly,
toasted sparkle, orange zest. Anyway, so this isn't a true smoked old fashioned. It's more of an orange sparkle old fashioned.
It's smoke adjacent.
Yeah. I like it. So.
I love it.
So it did bear good fruit, actually.
Yes. Your efforts came through. You are a bourbon drinker.
Sure.
At all parts of the day. 2:00 on a Sunday.
I mean, yes, it could be if people are over, yeah. But yes, if I'm doing a cocktail, I'm usually thinking of bourbon first.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter. I'll put bourbon in coffee. I sound like I drink bourbon a lot, but I don't.
No, it's just that when you do drink.
When I do drink, yes, bourbon is the first liquor of choice.
Yeah.
You only drink it.
It's my last liquor of choice and also last of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of a
More
nightcap.
Of a desserty.
Yeah, dessert, nightcap.
Mm-hmm.
Time to go.
Yeah. No, I had a ton of fun on my 40th. My wife invited our friends to go to do the bourbon trail in Kentucky. And that was...
Yeah. I regret not going.
Mm-hmm. Someone was invited.
It's a true story.
But I think that's also, I just have a fondness of memory with it. So it's not just the taste. It's, yeah. But yeah. So. Cheers. Well, let's get into this Bolognese episode. We discussed, I didn't turn my watch on silent. Yes, we discussed that this episode isn't really, there's not a ton of friction.
No.
And so
there's a little bit, but not a ton.
Right.
What there absolutely is not is chaos.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolutely not trauma or re-traumatizing or replicating of trauma.
Yeah.
There's not a.
So on the surface, if we've been following the show and then you say, hey, we're going to do a show on attachment and talk about the woundings and the repairs, it's not a show where like a lot happened there.
Yeah, this episode in particular. Yeah. That's right. But what did happen is ordinary time, ordinary conversations, ordinary apologies, ordinary connections that, given this context, is quite extraordinary.
Yeah.
But just even the way that they depicted it, it was tempered and calm,
mild. And at the same time, there were still lovely relational dynamics.
Oh, gosh, yes.
That were strewn throughout.
Especially the opening scene.
Yeah, you go and talk about it. You mentioned, just between us, that it's like one of your favorite scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do love a good romance.
Okay.
And I do love a rom-com.
I'm fine.
And I love Claire's, Claire seems rather confident, rather secure. Mm-hmm. And I love that. that's very attractive to me. And the way that she so, I think, confidently skates around like an ice skater or like a hockey player skates around all of his sort of shenanigans to try and be dismissive, to be avoidant, to be a shell. And she's just skating around it and be like, come on, bring it, in a way that he really responds well to.
I'm giggling because we're not talking about the same story.
Oh, yes. You're talking about the second opening scene.
Yes. Yeah, we were misattuned there. I was talking about your favorite scene.
Yeah, I wasn't misattuned.
If you're on YouTube.
You said opening scene, so I went with the opening scene.
I did. Yeah. I misspoke there.
But you were right.
I was thinking of your favorite scene.
I was talking about earlier as well.
Yes.
Which is my real
favorite scene.
Yeah.
So let's go to your favorite scene.
Okay.
Not the opening scene.
Okay.
And then we're gonna go towards the end. We're gonna talk about
more about
that scene.
Sir Carmi and
Claire.
Yeah, the opening scene with Tina. Tina is at the window because they're gonna do a drive-through, and
from the window. No.
Here comes sauntering up good old Ibra, who spun out of orbit, couldn't take all the change, couldn't stay connected, couldn't work through all the feelings that he was having, like Tina was able to.
Yeah.
Tina's been able to work through them, not necessarily in the most healthy ways, but nevertheless, she has endured.
Right.
And has arrived at a beautiful spot. And so Ibra comes sauntering up, and she greets him in a ribbing, teasing way of like, hello, ma'am. And he plays right along. Like he's taking the cue that she's here to play. She's not here to punish. She's here to receive. She's not here to castigate or and so he plays back, hello, sir. And
still has something to say.
Yeah, how so? You mean Tina still has something to say, or Ibra does?
I think both of them do.
Yes.
Like it's kind of an apology tour for him.
Oh, sure.
And he's checking in, but
it's also a disclosure or a
disclosure is a better
revealing
way,
or a sharing of his vulnerability of, I'm a scared bitch. Just like the way you just called me that, Tina.
Accurate. Yeah.
That he just couldn't take how much is too much change for him. And he got scared.
And she was so attuned to him, knowing that like he can't have this confrontational conversation.
Yeah, so direct.
And so she's willing to be soft, be playful, and still get the job done.
Yet also be aggressive. She calls him a bitch.
Right.
She is like, what does she say? Like, you know, like those kind of bitches need to recognize that they need to stay with these bad motherfuckers, or I forget. But she calls her. I mean, she's dropping F-bombs and she's calling herself, in her strength, right? In her, I take no shit, I expect no shit, and I absolutely love you,
right?
And there's nothing that's going to shake you from my love. But they do it in this scrappy, cantankerous, I've lived a rough life, mutually so kind of way that isn't truly dehumanizing. It's truly not belittling. It's truly not shaming. It's truly not. It's a beautiful way. It
was actually encouraging because she's like, yes, we're changing and it's a good thing and you're welcome here.
You belong here.
You belong here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome here. I want you here. You belong here. There is still a place for you, even though you didn't evolve in the way that the restaurant has evolved. And
we've made accommodations for you. We've kept the beef.
Yeah, there's an aspect
here on the side.
Yeah. So that's just a beautiful repair, reconnecting, both for Ibra in and of himself, but also between the two of them, that special.
Yeah, I think she missed him. Yeah.
Oh God, it was terribly abandoning for her, I'm sure.
Yeah. So this takes us on to the next thing that was carried on throughout the entire episode of Richie entering in his tone on tone.
I wear suits now.
Yeah. Looking sharp, looking debonair.
Yeah, Poppy.
Well, and I even loved how, like, that's how Tina responded to him. He's like, I wear suits now. And she's like, and you wear them well. Like, you look good, sir. But the metaphor, the meaning of the suit was really beautiful. And you see Richie kind of come into his own. And kind of like we talked in the last episode, that he's not doing this to show off or to portray something that he's not.
Yeah.
He's really embodying this as, no, I do this for me. Like, this makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah.
And therefore I know it's going to extend out of me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to be more present. I'm going to be able to carry myself in a way that if I'm proud of myself, I'm going to be proud of the environment I'm in and that I'm with, the company I'm with.
Yeah. It's a symbol of him being his better self, which would be a truer self in that regards.
Yeah.
And I think it's a symbol of, it's a marker of he's ready to be collaborative, truly collaborative. He's ready to truly be a team member who knows that he is a member of this team.
I belong.
Yeah.
So he's coming in saying, I belong here. And he's not having to prove it. He's not having to force it and fight for it.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, look what happens. He has the ability, the patience, I don't know what else to say there, but to apologize, to offer an apology, a sincere apology. And it was really funny to watch, though, because you have two anxiously attached people in this dynamic come together for an apology.
The one between he and
Natalie.
Natalie, yeah.
Sugar. And you can tell he's done some work and he's ready. He's sitting in himself, so he's not worried about being too much in this moment. It's just kind of is what it is. Like, I'm ready to be here. I belong. So he knows himself. Yet Natalie or Sugar doesn't know him that way. And so is prepared to respond in her anxiously attached, her entangled way.
Yeah.
So much so she entangles someone else to come in.
That's right.
He's like, I'd like to apologize. She's like, oh, hold on.
That's right.
Let's say it loud. Say it with your chest, sir. Let's go. Let me really hear it.
And it doesn't involve him. It's not about him. Yet she brings in another party.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a classic entangled way.
Yeah. And so would you say that is a classic? I mean, you just did,
because it intensifies it, and he even says, "Bring the fire, bring the heat."
Yes,
right. Like that's that upregulating kind of way that we're going to repair by cranking up the heat, by cranking up the emotionality of things. And the scene is beautiful in that it doesn't overwhelm anybody.
Right.
It stays in what is often called that window of tolerance. But it is not what you're going to see somebody who's more dismissive and avoidant handle or welcome or receive an apology. Lots of eye contact, bringing in others. Oh, come on and bring it, and say more and poke and prod a little bit.
Right.
As opposed to lack of eye contact, going to somewhere private, speaking in quieter tones, trying to get it over as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and so cousin was able to stay within himself.
Hold on to himself.
And,
hold on to his best self.
Right. Not upregulate himself as well.
Yeah.
Which brought, I think, it kind of shocked
Natalie.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Of, like this is serious. This is genuine. This is real. And she was able to receive it.
Yeah. Pulled her sobriety or Al-Anon sobriety to the foreground. And
yeah. That was a really cool scene. And it's fun to see. I didn't think when watching this show that I would ever have like an endearing, like rooting for cousin the way I do for Tina. But through the past 2 episodes, I've really been like, oh, this is exciting to watch. And yeah, I hope you get all that is not your owed, but all that comes with becoming secure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's exciting to see that in him.
But he keeps going. So he doesn't just leave it with Natalie. He actually starts it off with Carmi when he walks in and says, before you start laughing at me or humiliating me some more about me wearing suits. And Carmi's like, nobody's laughing.
I don't hear anyone laughing.
I don't.
Yeah.
And they have that loving embrace.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I just it's just beautiful ways to see non-erotic male touch that's not slapping each other in the butt, this homoerotic kind of touch that is so often portrayed.
Well, and you've seen within Richie throughout most of the episodes where there's something to it. There's an
aggressive homoerotic, displaced, disavowed,
and this is just pure
Italian
relational, like
body
family.
To body.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
So it was nice. And it was an interesting way to see the difference in approaching an apology with a dismissive avoidant, Carmi, versus approaching apology with an anxiously entangled.
Yeah. In sugar. Yeah.
Yeah. So when he approaches Carmi, it's straight to it. It's not long, laborious eye contact and let's really get in here and feel our feels. But he just went in straight in. Hey, I get it. And
yeah,
that's pretty much it.
That's great, man. Welcome. Yeah. Fewer words. I'm sure if we looked at the transcript, the exchange between Carmi and Richie had fewer words as opposed to the apology exchange between he and Richie and Sugar. I'm sure there's more words, and that's so congruent with those classifications.
Yeah.
One uses fewer words, tends to be more concise.
Yeah.
And the other one tends to be verbose and complete, and you get the whole.
Well, so this is interesting. I think what we didn't put together before talking about this tonight is what we're seeing in this episode is a bunch of repairs between all the different attachment classifications
and how
the different like pairings that can exist.
Yep.
You have, although I don't think we have, the one we're missing is an entangled to an entangled.
Yeah, sure.
But all the others we have.
Well, we don't have entangled to entangled in Richie and.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah. That is, yeah. So that's entangled to entangled. You have Carmi and cousin, and that's dismissive and entangled.
Yep.
The next one we have is
too dismissive.
Too dismissive.
Too awkward as all get out.
Yes. So Carmi and Sid coming together, and it's a little painful to watch. And I don't know if that's just as a therapist, because I'm like, oh, that's not repair. Like, y'all aren't repairing. You're both just
clumsy.
You're just clumsy and like toning you're toning everything down.
Yep.
You're just turning the volume way down.
And as it was getting ratcheted up, Sydney shut that down real quick.
Yes. Yeah, like we're not going to go there. They did their heartburn thing, which we joked. Like there's Pepto-Bismol in every shot of the show. It's always in reach.
Yep.
I wonder if they're getting paid advertisement there, but it is the indigestion is real.
The acid reflux.
But I think that's what they should offer the Carmi and Sid. I think they should just carry around a bottle and just offer it to each other. Like that's their peace agreement.
Well, that's I think also how they started. Did they start this episode or the previous episode when they were looking at the map?
I don't remember.
I don't even remember. So she hands him a bottle.
Oh,
she
that's
already
right.
had the bottle.
That was this episode. You're right.
This was episode.
Because he's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's an interesting dynamic. Sid's getting a bit jealous.
I think so.
It seems between Claire moving in and having some ideas, or jealous. Maybe not Claire's moving in, but that Carmi is turning to Claire versus Sid. And Sid's here waiting for Carmi to work with her, be with her, and really get this restaurant and the concept going. And every time she turns around, he's not available, or he's not followed through with something, or he's changed something without informing her. It's just constant. Like she turns and she gets dropped. You're looking at me like, that's interesting. You see that, Michael?
Well, that's definitely.
Are you saying I'm projecting? I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting.
Or I could say that sounds like a Sydney-centric perspective, where Sydney is having a difficult time also recognizing and appreciating that Carmi is doing something that she can't do, which is fall in love. She can't open herself to romance, and that what Carmi is doing is not doing business with Claire, but doing personal business as it applies to professional work.
Okay.
And I think that's a way in which Sydney contributes to the disconnection and the miscommunication and the lack of collaboration.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying, and I agree with majority of it. I think the part that I get stuck with is the false promise that seems to have, or something that hasn't come to fruition, which is Sid is an equal partner.
Yeah.
And so the power dynamic makes me go
there
from the Sid centric of he's dropping her because even though he's saying they're equal or presenting this is ours, he keeps doing things that suggest he's forgetting her, that she's not in his mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in a beautifully, I think, dismissive way, there's an aspect where Carmi is trying to solve a problem that maybe exists between the two of them away from her.
Yes.
And then comes back with, here's what you wanted.
Yeah, that was the perfect line of like, that's what I see in the couples work all the time of like, I am doing, these are all the things I've done. And I did it because that's what you wanted. And
yeah,
it just
you
goes
asked me to do them, or this is what you've been asking for, and I have given you it.
And you're still complaining. What else can I do? I can't do enough. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah. And that's two people doing that to each other.
Right.
And it's painful to watch. It's awkward, tragic.
Yeah.
Even if understandable from each of their respective positions or perspectives. Yet there's still an aspect where they are able to reconnect after the heartburn chest rub, and playfully play with Carmi's romantic awkwardness.
Immaturity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just stop being a fuck up. Okay.
Yeah. And also like stop calling your girlfriend a friend who's a girl.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And
Yeah. It's amazing how much he doesn't know.
and I also don't know if she's jealous as in like she wants Carmi to be her boyfriend.
Yeah, I'm still rooting for her, Marcus. So
I mean, and my wife's rooting for Sydney and cousin.
that is so weird to me, but yeah.
Love is blind, baby.
So yeah, I think there's a plenty of reasons to be jealous, but they're also just so stressed.
Sure.
About everything, about getting
There's
this
plenty of
going.
reasons not to be jealous too.
Right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's true. But what we see when we're talking about attachment is this is how, if you had two dismissive attachment classifications working together and it was a stressful environment, this is how you would see an attempt at repair.
Yeah. I think
And
so.
nothing actually gets repaired. It just gets turned down.
Nothing may be too strong of a word, but
Nothing, Michael. Nothing.
absolutely.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, nothing is too strong. But
probably insufficiently, not adequate.
it turns into less collaboration and more of a coexistence.
Yeah. Yep.
And, so
And in terms of
independent work.
attachment repair, it probably doesn't actually, it's not penetrating enough. It's not transformative enough. That kind of repair that they experience there doesn't penetrate the recesses of neuroanatomy that is
I just
attachment.
rewatched a movie, Pitch Perfect. Have you seen that?
I have seen all three.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So the first one,
There's
one where she talks about the trebles being penetrating, and Amy, fat Amy, is like not a good enough reason to use the word penetrate. That reminded me of that. That's all. But yes, that it is not enough to penetrate.
The disturbances of attachment that are found from childhood. That's, I think, partly what's coming from your nothing is actually being resolved.
It's just an ongoing,
because it doesn't,
wounding.
it's not transformative enough.
Right.
Yep.
So they're going to keep going.
Yep.
And honestly, in couples relationships, I don't wish it upon anyone. But with two dismissive people together in a relationship, I don't worry about them getting a divorce or worry about them like just annihilating things, because they won't. Like very rarely do they actually come to counseling because they're just going to coexist.
Yeah.
And so that I thought they did a good job because they're writing the show with attachment in mind.
That's
know.
right.
I
And
just know
therapy
it.
in mind.
Yes. But they did a great job of representing that. What else is it? Where did we go from there?
I think we were going to talk more about Carmi and
Claire. Yeah. Because
And-
your favorite first opening scene. Now this is where we go.
yeah. Yeah, you loved the line. You loved the way in which Claire is so emblematic in her phrasing of security of attachment that it gives you the privilege to not be waiting for the other shoe to drop. That security of attachment means you're not worried about that.
Yeah. And when she said it, I was like, oh, that's really easy for you to say.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
That's cute.
but true. Right? Like it's
Cute and true for her.
And it's probably truer for Carmi if he could wake up to his actual environment.
No.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to slap again.
Yes, okay.
No. Yes, in the present moment, he's unable to recognize that no one is counting shoes. No one's waiting for shoes to fall or appear or be anywhere. No one cares about shoes in that moment. but shoes have dropped in his life that have been very real and powerful.
Yeah.
And so therefore to me, it makes total sense that he has a radar that is constantly looking for shoes, even though in the present moment he's with someone who is secure, which means there are no shoes, but his past is with him and he hasn't healed from that past. And so therefore, like, to say like there are no shoes, that would be like holding a blue pen and calling it red. Like, no, this is blue. Mm-hmm. Like, I have experiences. Shoes fall around me all the time. Mm-hmm. So to me, I'm like, that's cute. That's a lovely privilege you have of no trauma. And we know that's not true. We don't know Claire's past life very well, but to me, that is a place of privilege to say there are no shoes right here, right now. I'm thankful. I'm glad you're there, but not everyone else is there with you. So don't dismiss, don't minimize.
Yeah, that's what you're picking up on.
And I don't think she was minimizing or dismissing him. I think she was speaking from her own experience.
Sure.
But she wasn't holding. Well, that's not true. I think she cared for him, and she knows he's been through some stuff. She knows his family. So she knows there have been shoes that have dropped. I just don't think she was fully attuned to that or expecting that he's going to be looking, whether you tell him or not, he's going to be looking until they've been repaired.
I'm not expecting Claire to be a therapist.
What?
I know. So I take Claire to be saying, stop living in the past and stop making the present a replication of the past. Yeah. Which is what we do in our pathology. That's what we do in our brokenness and our unhealedness, is that we infuse an environment that doesn't already have it. We can infuse in it our past and help perpetuate or create the past that wasn't necessarily or inherently there. And I think that's how I take her. No one's counting shoes or keeping track of shoes or however
keeping track of,
how she phrased it. I take it as a call to Carmi to sober up, to wake up to what rich opportunities do lie before him, and live there rather than live back there. Even though at the same time, there are dynamics where folks will seek environments that match the past.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And so here Carmi has quite literally come back to his past in the form of coming to the beef, which is rife with, or rot. Rife. And what does rot mean? WROUGHT? I don't know.
Rot with.
Rot with? Is it the same meaning?
I think so.
Okay. But it's definitely rife. It's already rife with the insecurity, trauma of his own childhood. And in that way, maybe, I think at this point, Claire is still quite ignorant to just how chaotic and I think traumatizing the bear still is, the restaurant, the Beef Bear. Because she hasn't gone there yet.
No, she hasn't experienced it,
Second time I'm
spoiling. The you'll have to repair with the audience later. I think one thing to point out too is that this isn't Claire's repair to do either. And so maybe to take some responsibility off of her from pointing this out, that if this was her repair to do with Carmi, and her saying there's no shoes, that would be really dismissive.
Yeah.
So in her defense here, maybe she's not being so dismissive because this isn't her wound to repair.
Yeah.
Nothing for her to apologize.
And it doesn't exist in the moment.
Right.
Yeah, in that space, in his apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, something just got triggered because with some of my clients who are going through it'd be like affair recovery, that can be a line that I would be surprised to hear of. There's no other shoes to drop. I'm not going to cheat again. I've learned my lesson. I've gotten over it. Why haven't you? Like that. Like come live in the present. Don't keep going back to the past. And that is like, oh well, that's a nice place of privilege for you, that you don't have to feel this pain all the time and carry it and not be repaired within yourself. But that's not what's happening here with Claire. So dadgummit, maybe I was projecting.
I don't know. I mean, you're what you definitely are is very protective.
Yeah.
You are delightfully protective.
So yeah, this very unassuming episode had nothing for us to talk about. Nothing. Not a dang thing for us to work with. No. As always, it's such a good show. Such a good representation of life.
Absolutely. And still moving. And still makes us quite tearful.
Yeah. I'm kind of done with that part, but it's going to happen to me nonetheless. Yeah.
Wishful thinking.
Yes.
All right. 2 more episodes.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Again, a delicious bourbon-based drink.
We have 2 more, and then we'll go to Jen. Promise.
Promise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.